Live stream from Mr. Astrotheology again. So, what am I doing on this vid? I shouldn't be there. Although that was a very good video, folks. You might want to watch that. These guys are pretty good. They're pretty good. They're very positive and hopeful. But anyway, back to flat Earth proofs. So I thought I'd do this again. I did it yesterday and I got into a swearing match and abusing people and because of the comments. So I've just worked out how to, since I can't control my anger, being the person that I am, please forgive me, I just can't bear to look at the comments. It just, it really, really triggers me. So no comments. That's a shame because all the beautiful people, all the great intelligence syncretisms who send me so much encouragement and love and motivation. I do it not only for you primarily, but for everyone. You know, I want the globetards as well to wake up. You know, they've been tricked, they've been hoodwinked, they've been fooled. It's a psyop. Globalism is global terror. We don't live on a globe, we live on an infinite flat plane. It's a theatre. Theatre is in the word earth is in the word theatre. It's beautiful, it's magic. We live in a massive torus field which is hovering in space, and Earth does not move. And what moves is the stars, the sun, the moon, the planets, etc., and all of those bodies. That's all that moves. We do not move. The torus field is moving, the ionosphere, the Van Allen belt, all of that, whatever you call it, that is what is moving. See, we can't comprehend this because we've been told that they're millions of miles away and they're big and they're rocks and they're heavy. They're not. Everything you see up above the earth, it's all transcendental. It's all God. And this is what the atheist Big Bang is trying to take away from you, my dear God friend. My dear God friend, they are trying to tell you that you are not a God and that when you look at the sun, that is not the goddess of the heavens. Tonansin. When you look at the moon, they don't want you to know that that's Christ, Krishna. When you look at Venus, they don't want you to know that she is a goddess, giving you wisdom. They don't want you to understand the electromagnetic astrological system that exists. They want you to believe in this. You see all these motions? This is Copernicus, the Jesuit. It's very important to understand that the globe comes from the Jesuits, especially the turning globe, because to prove that the Earth is stationary, that's kindergarten. Everyone should know that. As to the shape of the Earth, whether it's flat or a globe or concave or hollow or whatever, well, that is secondary, because it's well, not in my opinion, but in the general masses, from what I've discerned in the last 6 years since I've been a flat earther, I've discerned that the shape is tougher than whether to prove that it's stationary. And I'm going to show you quite easily today how it is stationary. It's provable and it has been proved, and you can do it yourself. So first we have a rotation of the Earth around its axis. There's the speed. I've put the Mach, or the Mach, next to it. So 1,035 mile an hour is Mach 1.34. That's 1.3 times faster than the speed of sound, which is about 780 speed of sound. Let's do this with one hand and shaky camera. Speed of sound. What is it? What is it? What is it? Come on, come on, come on. Speed of sound. Yeah, 767. I knew it was a number that had symmetry to it. And there's a jet there breaking that barrier. And look at that sonic boom. So you see, he's created a torus field because sound is God. All right? Sonoluminescence. So remember that figure, 700 mile an hour, that's very, 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 very fast. All right, guys? Now, so when people say that experiments prove that the Earth is moving, and not the ether, they are wrong. Because all the experiments proved, undertaken for the last 200 years that I'm aware of, they've all detected this one movement of rotation. Yes, something is rotating, but never have they ever detected the orbit around the sun, which is just below 666. Thank you, Freemasons. Mark 88. I know it says 86 there, but 88 is, well, it goes with 666, trust me. It's Masonic, and they want, this is the mark of the beast. This is that the beast is the global system that they've created. Global warming, global agenda, global governance, global economy, global society, global community, etc., etc. And there is no globe. It does not exist. The Earth is a horizontal stationary plane. So just remember those two first speeds, and then we come to these astronomical other two speeds. The sun orbiting around the Milky Way galaxy at 550 mile an hour, Mach 716. Imagine going 700 times faster than the speed of sound, right? Through the universe. But wait, there's more. The Milky Way galaxy, which we belong to, is orbiting the center of the universe at 650 million miles an hour. So every hour for the last, 600,000 years or 5,000 years or 10 years, every hour our Earth displaces in its velocity vector through the galaxy, displaces its mass by 650 million miles. Try, please, try with your mind to think that we are supposedly moving at 650 million miles, every hour. And the Mach is, get this, 847,000 Mach. 847,000 times faster than the speed of sound. All right, let's see how we can just absolutely destroy this absurdity, monstrosity, and satanic deception that people have been put under, just the same as they have with the COVID, the big C agenda, and all the lies, and how they say, oh, well, it's the science. You guys are anti-science, you people who don't want our goodies. And, you can go to Krispy Kremes and we'll give it to you for free even. Our goodies are science, and Krispy Kreme supports us. You can get free V's when you go to Krispy Kreme. Lucky you. Only that you get to die within 2 hours, and sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 2 months, but you surely will die. So I say the same with the globe. The globe is dead. It still remains alive in the minds of many people because they've been duped and they do not have the intelligence. They just do not have the intelligence. Okay, so check out this bit. Please be patient with me. Sound is not going to be that good.
The ring laser gyro and similar Sagnac effect light instruments are by far some of the best evidence for a flat and stationary Earth. Most people you have heard on the subject do not understand the results of the Sagnac light instruments, which many blind people even believe that these experiments prove the heliocentric globe model. This couldn't be further from the truth, and is probably the reason that the mainstream science has never made a big deal about these experiments.
Okay, it's quite appropriate that when they split that beam of light into a mirror, where the two balls are there, you can see that mirror, and one goes to the left, one goes to the right, and it goes around this table which is turning. This is a massive, big concrete, steel, iron table that Sagnac and Michelson-Morley created to prove that the Earth is stationary, and they did. They proved it. And before you globies jump in and say, no, they don't, like Cullen was doing on the debate the other day. No, everything just denied with no evidence at all. Well, here's the evidence, and we're going to show you. It's interesting that they should be red and blue, red shift, blue shift, right? If you followed my work, you know how important that is. So you see on the left there, it says beam splitter and recombiner, light sent in opposite direction apparatus. So this is a massive 15-foot. You can check this out online. You can check the Sagnac experiment. You can see many videos made on it, and you'll see the globies on one hand saying, he proved that the Earth is moving. And then Aries with his telescope did something similar, and they laughed at him and said that he failed. So they called it the Aries failure. We're going to look at that in a minute. But for now, just follow this.
In order to prove their models. It has been known since the early 1900s with the Michelson-Morley and Michelson-Gale experiments, and then later with Sagnac experiments with the laser gyros, that we can pick up roughly a rotation of 15 degrees per hour between the movement of light and one's position on the Earth. This does not prove, however, that the Earth is moving. All it proves is that light moves at 15 degrees per hour relative to our position on Earth. There was always great debate as to whether a medium existed of which light travelled through, which limited the speed of light, of which this medium was called the ether. Those pro-ether scientists believe that the roughly 15 degrees per hour movement picked up between light and one's position on the Earth was simply the ether rotating. However, pro-heliocentric scientists believed it was the rotation of the Earth that was detected in these experiments. So the main result that came from the Sagnac light experiments actually proved that light did travel in a medium which limits its speed and actually moves independent of the movement from the source of that light. This actually showed that an ether did exist that the light travelled through. So the great argument has been whether these devices are picking up Earth rotation or the rotation of the so-called ether. While people have struggled to argue this either way, there is clear evidence that it is the ether moving and not the Earth, of which I will share later on. First of all though, I want you to think deeper on this. We all agree that these devices pick up a 15 degree per hour rotation. This rotation could only be of either the ether or of the Earth. But there is a more pressing problem that these tests detected.
A more pressing problem. So pay attention as well. Earther and ether, they are sisters. The ether is the medium, the fifth element, the quintessence, that all the philosophers talk about, through which light, God, moves at 15 degrees an hour. This experiment proved it. It proves that the ether moves at 15 degrees per hour. So all those mirrors, see that the blue light got to the recombiner quicker than the red light. Well, that displacement that would have created. They would tell through the interference patterns on the waves how much it moved. And so that's how they worked it out. They worked out that something is moving at 15 degrees an hour. Now the globies will say that's the Earth, and then of course the stationary earthers can prove and will prove and have proven that it is not the Earth. The Earth is stationary. It's not moving. Earthquakes, when an earthquake happens, it moves. Yeah, for sure. You go up and down and you get scared and the Earth moves. It trembles. And remember, if we were speeding at Mach 800,000 and rotating and orbiting and all that, we would feel constant trembling, especially with a liquid molten iron core center, supposedly, that we have. I mean, I'd hate to be living in Ecuador on the beach. You would be having tsunamis and all sorts of, oh my God, it would be horrendous. The Earth is stationary, folks. That's why you can go to the beach anywhere on the Earth and you'll never get swallowed up by a tsunami, because it's not turning, it's not moving, it's not upside down. Gravity's not holding the cargo ships stuck to the water in Australia, while the butterflies, on the other hand, who know nothing about gravity, can fly all around the ship. So either we have to teach the butterflies and the insects about gravity so that they can also be sucked into the water like the ships, the cargo ships that are going to Australia, or we keep them ignorant and they keep disproving the theory of gravity, because that's all it is. It's just a stupid theory. Newton was a Jesuit.
The question you really need to ask is, why do these devices not pick up the 30 kilometre per second movement of the annual Earth orbit around the Sun? The devices pick up the daily rotational movement between the Earth and light, but why don't they pick up the much greater speeds of 30 kilometres per second of the Earth movement as it circuits around the Sun?
Checkmate. There it is, friends. Do your research. Go into as many videos as you can on Sagnac, Michelson-Morley, Michelson-Gailey, Michelson and Gale, George Airy, James Bradley, Astronomer Royal in 1729. He also did a telescope experiment, just like we're going to see in a minute, and he concluded that the Earth was stationary. Every single true scientific experiment proves the Earth is stationary. Whereas what the globies are using is what I call hocus pocus, honky, shonky, wonky, dodgy, bodgy, bogus pseudoscience, and they delude the masses, and the masses are paving their way to hell because of their ignorance. So this will enlighten you, globies. This will enlighten you. You've been checkmated big time. This mechanism and no other mechanism only picks up one motion: rotation, no orbit. It didn't detect any orbit, and it should have detected it in this experiment, but it didn't. So it's checkmate. It's all over for the globe. This one experiment alone destroys globetrottery forever.
This is what we should expect in the heliocentric globe model. The Sagnac experiment proves that the light travels at a limited speed, which is independent of the speed of the source of the light. Therefore, if the Earth is orbiting annually around the Sun, we should pick up this in the experiments as well. However, guess what? We pick up nothing. Absolute zilch movement is found to prove that there is an annual orbit of the Earth around the Sun.
Exactly.
All we pick up is a 360-degree daily rotation. No other movement is detected. Now, any serious researcher needs to ask why this is. And the most obvious answer would have to be that we are not flying around the Sun at 30 kilometres per second, and that light leaves at the source of the Sun directly towards the Earth, and the only motion detected is a 15 per hour rotation of what would either be the Earth or of the ether.
Busted. The only motion detected. And we're going to have a look at star trails in a minute, and star trails also prove it. You're going to see an experiment which absolutely obliterates globetrottery, guys. Hang in there.
This truth completely debunks the heliocentric globe model, and it is only with crazy theories that you can try to dismiss these findings. True scientific experimentation has shown time and time again that the Earth does not rotate annually around the Sun. The only movement detected is this daily 360-degree rotation. So how do we know if it's the Earth rotating 360 degrees daily, or whether it's the ether rotating above us? Other than the obvious fact that we don't feel any Earth rotation, the best and most conclusive experiment ever undertaken to understand this was in 1871, and it was called Airy's failure. George Airy set up telescopes and faced them towards a star, so that the light of the star would travel directly down the centre of the telescope to be seen.
Okay, I just want to prepare you for the George Airy's failure because the globe is, before Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, general and universal, I think they're two different theories. But he had to come up with the universal one before the general theory instead of the other one. Years later, he came up with that because Michelson and Morley were coming along and doing experiments, and they just absolutely smashed the Jesuits' freaking storyline. So George Airy, this is way before Einstein, the Jesuit. Look, to understand this, think about standing in the rain, and the rain's falling directly. There's no wind. It's just falling straight down vertically. And you've got an umbrella, and you're dry under the umbrella because you're stationary. You're not moving. And you're just sitting there, and you're nice and dry. But the moment you start moving, and let's say you start running really fast in the forward direction, if you keep that umbrella directly vertical, you're going to get wet. You're going to get a really, really wet face. So what do? Since you're now moving, you cleverly adjust the angle of the umbrella, you tilt it forward, and now your face is protected because you now have started moving. There's no wind. It's still vertical, but because of your motion, you have to adjust, you have to make adjustments. So Airy, to the left there, you see a telescope without water in it, and then to the right, in the middle, you see a telescope filled with water to slow down the light, and this is the way to tell whether it's the Earth moving or the ether. So pay attention.
Of the telescope. Now, telescopes need to be tilted slightly as the light travels on an angle due to either this moving Earth or the moving ether. Now, after centering the stars in the telescope and measuring the angle of tilt required in the telescope, George Airy then filled the telescope with water to slow down the light of the star entering that telescope. Now, if the Earth was moving, then the starlight, upon entering the water in the telescope, would move off-centre, and the telescope would need to be further tilted to again view the star. However, if the Earth, and therefore also the telescope, was stationary, and it was the starlight moving in the ether, then the light would continue on the same path and stay in the centre of the telescope. The reason that the experiment became known as Airy's failure was because he failed to find any movement in the Earth, and the light stayed centred in the telescope. And no further telescope tilt was needed, so we can conclude that, as the Bible declares, the Earth is motionless and at rest.
Hallelujah.
Now, the results of these tests have been known for many decades, and light tests have been repeated hundreds of times over the years, and the results always conclusively fail to prove that there is any movement of the Earth through the universe. Only a daily 360-degree daily rotation has ever been found. And Airy's failure proves that this rotation is not in the Earth, but in the stars and light above, and therefore also in the ether, which is the rotating medium that light travels through, and many have tried and failed to disprove. Since these tests have proven a stationary Earth, the powers that be have made up all manner of crazy theories to try and dismiss the findings, as the atheist scientists know that they must hide this truth, as a geocentric, stationary Earth would prove that we are special, having been positioned at the centre of creation by a loving God.
This guy has a very churchy approach for me, but what he's saying is correct. It's the Big Bang Theory, which was Einstein's friend Lemaitre, who came up with it, teaches that we're just flying around and it's hurtling and wobbling and distorting and travelling and blah, 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 blah. So, it basically makes us feel that it was a mistake, it was a big bang, It's still a mistake, and, you know, we're always going to be uncertain about meteorites and comets and crashing into something and bumping into something and getting destroyed and obliterated and blah, blah, blah. That's what they're doing. It's all about fear. And rather, when you know that we're in an enclosed system, thank you, Bill Nye and disgraced Tyson, they admit it. They admit it, we're in an enclosed system, but still everybody wants outer space. They love, you know, flying out in space there somewhere. They think that such a thing exists. Well, it does, but it only exists within torus fields. And we live in a big, massive torus field, and the Earth is the plane of inertia, the planet of Eartha, centering it. And that is the scientific model that exists. There is only one model. So you can't go wrong. You can't make a mistake. If you use the atom or the torus field as the model of the solar system, you can't go wrong, because man is the measure of the universe and all is atum. We already know that they've given us the secrets. So I would say that what they're trying to do is, you know, prevent us from understanding that when you look up at the sun, you are looking at God. That is a conscious, intelligent being. The moon, the goddess. I prefer to call the sun, which is magnetic, the goddess, and the moon, the god. I put it around the other way, as did the Japanese, the Egyptians, and all the others. See, the moon is gravitation, not gravity. It's sucking light out of our solar cell, and the sun is pouring light in. Therefore, it is magnetic, and that's radiation. Ra. Ra is the sun god because it radiates. It radiates magnetism. So we have radiation and gravitation, and the sun and moon, anodes and cathodes, respectively, are what are responsible for this. So here's just 2 experiments, guys. I can do more. In fact, I'll do the Pierluigi Gina one where he shows you in his laboratory that the Earth is stationary. And this is a colleague of Marconi who in 2004, before he died, proved, this is an Italian genius, proved that the Earth is stationary. So for all those God-fearing people out there, you should be really, 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 really disappointed in God, because the stars should be random every day. We should have fireworks. We should have all kinds of new things happening in the stars, new constellations, brighter stars, dimmer stars. We should be losing some of the stars that are behind us and gaining newer ones as we go forward through the Milky Way galaxy. But no. For 450,000 years of Egyptian astrological/astronomical record keeping, there's never been any parallax, any distortion in the astrological signs, no brighter stars, no change in luminosity, and yet we are traveling 650 million miles every hour. And we've been doing this throughout all of history, and yet the same old boring, in the same shape as well as 400,000 years ago, same old Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. They just keep turning and turning and turning over our heads. Keep in mind, folks, remember the experiment of Sagnac? They only detected one movement, rotation, no orbit. This will also prove that there is no orbit. There is only some kind of rotation. No orbital drift, folks. No orbital drift. Just a rotation. Solid, still, perfect. And for all you guys who are already thinking ahead, how can there be a southern pole axis as well? Well, I'll show you. That's easy. Straight. Take note, straight. Okay, because next up he's going to make it crooked. He's going to put an angle on his camera. See, this is what people are doing. They're pointing it straight to the center to get perfect rotations. Otherwise it doesn't work, as you will see, proving the Earth is stationary. Perfect circles, no parallax. No orbital drift, so we're not orbiting. So already you can just forget about the Santa ball, it's gone. Continue, let's continue on. Now he puts an angle on the camera. This is where it gets interesting, folks. Yeah, parallax. There you go. Yep, the Earth is stationary. That's it. If you don't come to that conclusion and you continue to stick with globetardery, I hold out no hope for you. You're lost. You do not have possession of your own brain. It's demonized. You're a demonized individual, and they're controlling your thoughts because you can't think for yourself. This is just so blatantly clear. It's just checkmate. It's all over for the globe. For a start, not only should there be parallax, there should be orbital drift. There should be a sine. Polaris should be doing like a sine wave, not a circle around it, the stars around it, I mean. Perfect star tails, no parallax. Whoops. Parallax. That's all you'd get. You would never ever get those star trails if we were orbiting, folks. Think, please, for God's sakes, let's save this world. Let's save this world from globalism, the false idol of the Jesuits for all the useless eaters and the tards that just go along with it, you know, without thinking. And make life difficult for us because they also promote other pseudoscience, you know, like the COVID science. You know, we've got so many doctors and politicians that are so expert at it. Fauci, Bill Gates, oh my God, they mesmerize you with their pseudoscience. Oh, it's the science. So you're harming yourself, globetard, and you're harming us. You are a pest to the truth, and we're going to remove this pest. You are a pest to society. You are a menace with your satanic deeds and your satanic teachings and your satanic doctrines. And very soon, it will only be months away, when the cabal come down, a flat Earth will be official. And guess who's going to be laughing forever? Yours truly. Yours truly, forever. Let me guarantee you that history will record this. I guarantee you, folks, one day when we go back and do the figures of all the people who went and got the V, not one of them were flat earthers, because they're too intelligent. They use their own mind, and they look at these things and they see the absurdity in it. If you can't see, what you see on my screen now, if you can't see that this is absolutely a monstrous satanic deception, then there's no hope for you, okay? Maybe your mother dropped you and you landed on your head too many times when you were young, but you're still not a loss if you're humble. Sure, your brain doesn't work, but your heart may be able to be humble. And you need to humiliate yourself, as I did when I realised the truth of stationary Earth. And forward I went, and I've never looked back. Okay, I'm glad I got through this without swearing and cursing all these people whom the Bible says Satan has blinded the minds of the unbelievers. In other words, he's blinded their minds to, believing what is true and knowing what is true. All right, so friends, this is all they give you. In a year, America, this is what they're trying to. Where's the pear shape? The oblate spheroid of Neil deGrasse Tyson. Are these photos against what the Jesuit Tyson is saying, or is this just some kid on his computer trying to make the Earth look? And why do they have to? Why do they have to, when they do this globe-tartery, why do they have to put the word sex in there and put, and copy and paste the clouds in there? These are all supposed photos. Look how perfect that sphere is. You know that's CGI, right? Please tell me that you realise these are not real photos. Come on. How did America grow double its size in 1 year? All right, lie after lie after lie is all they give you. These are the Jesuit liars, friends. They're satanic. This guy's a deceiver who will probably rot in hell forever and ever and ever.
So you spin, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. It gets wider in the middle so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning, and it got a little wider at the equator than it does at poles. So it's not actually a sphere, It's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it.
That's what,
Not only,
that's what we call it. Notice he said that? That's what we call it. He didn't say that's what it is, because he's a Jesuit. And that's what we call it, because we control all your education since kindergarten, sticking a globe on the kindergarten teacher's desk for you to bow down to the false idol. And these are the false prophets of Baal, which I will destroy with truth and love.
yeah, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator.
A little chubbier.
A little chubbier.
Yeah.
Chubby's a good word. It's like pear-shaped.
Yeah.
So, it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
Oh, really?
How much higher is the tall mountain you identified in the book, which name I forget?
I can't see any bulges of Mount Everest, Neil. Oh, yes, but the Globies will say, oh, yeah, well, that gets corrected due to the distance. I mean, they went out into outer space to get these photos. No, they didn't. There's not one photo of the globe Earth in existence. It doesn't exist. And that botched up photo from 72 with the astronauts, well, that's been debunked as well. They were using photoshopping techniques way, way back then. Okay, so you can't send a cake mixer to the moon with three astronauts on it, a dune buggy, golf clubs and golf balls, a telephone to ring Nixon and ask him about Watergate. Hey, Dick. Hey, Tricky Dicky. How's Watergate going? The scandal. We're up on the moon. We had to get away because it was just too unbearable. Dickie, I can't get reception. If I walk out of my house, sometimes I lose reception. And yet, Dickie was talking to Armstrong from the moon, and then they went on their dune buggy and, did a few rounds, and then they played golf, stuck a flag on the moon rock. It's funny, the moon disappears for 60 hours every time it goes past the sun on the new moon. Disappears? What happens to the moon rock, all you astrologers who are Copernican astrologers, Baal worshippers? What happens to the moon at the new moon, every new moon? Why can't you see it? Why is it invisible? Well, astrology tells you that whenever anything comes within 15 degrees of the rays of the sun, it comes under the beams of the sun or the rays of the sun and becomes invisible and gets cloaked, or its overpowering luminosity causes the other body to become invisible. So, I preach death to globe-tartary and globalism and the global agenda. It's not going to happen. Here's good old Copernicus himself dedicating his little book here to Pope Paul. And it is to him that Nicholas Copernicus dedicated his heliocentric treatise. It's just a theory and a hypothesis which has never been proven to be true. He himself said it. He said it's not absolutely true, it's just a model which explains certain phenomena. That's what he said in his work. And who was Pope Paul the Third? Let's check out, what's that name there? Alessandro Farnese. Ooh. Check out Lauren Murray on YouTube about the Farnese family and how rich they are and how they created the Jesuits just 1 year before Copernicus dedicated his book to this Satanist, the Farnese. And look at this. And then 2 years later, the Council of Trent, which lasted just 2 years after Copernicus's book, the Council of Trent, which lasted 20 years, where they planned their global agenda and started dismantling Tartaria and all of the ancients' cosmological flat earth teachings, all of them. And so now we have globetartery as the science. All right, guys, thank you for joining me in dismantling and debunking globetartery forever. And look out for part 7 coming up soon.
Research flat